Good morning, YouTube. Okay, so today's video, I'm just going to kind of wrap up a couple of loose ends that I left on my previous videos. One of them being on the track that I painted. I'm going to put a clear coat on it. I didn't have the paint that I needed to do it, but I ordered it so I can do it now, and I'll do that on video. It's just a quick step. I'll just cover it with clear coat, and we'll be done. And then the other loose end that I want to wrap up is up here. I want to do some post leveling on that, finish it up. I'll do it on camera because I didn't do that on camera last time. And then I will paint it, and then it'll be all ready to go. Very close to being able to put down track and start doing wiring. However, there's some very lengthy steps that I need to do before I can get to that point. For one, the painting of the track. It takes a long time. This means I can't do a video week after week of painting track, you know. You've already seen that, and that's basically what I'm going to be doing for the next couple of weeks. This means that I'm probably not going to have a video for a couple of weeks, unless I can think of something else to do. Yeah, so there's going to be a little bit of break in my my videos for a little bit. Sorry about that, but I will be back after I get all my track painted, and then we'll move on to the fun stuff, which I'm really looking forward to. I also need to, same as up here, I need to do this part as well. I haven't done that yet. So, as you can see, there's some repetitive stuff that I need to take care of. But anyway, without further ado, first thing, let's put some clear coat on that track there. That's right. All right, so I got my track sitting on this piece of foam here to keep it off the table. I'll be using this Krylon matte finish. I've shaken it up for a couple of minutes, so it's good to go. It's at room temperature, and the garage is actually kind of warm today. That should do it. I'm going to turn it around to make sure I can get that other side. All right, so I've turned it. All right, that will be enough. So I'm going to go ahead and let it dry. I'll let it dry out here in the garage. After it's completely dry, I'll do another cleaning on the rails. I'm actually going to have to test it with a light, an LED, on a couple of wheels that will detect any paint that's still on there. Now that clear coat, it's pretty necessary because you're going to need that. Your track is actually something that's going to occasionally get scraped, and especially when you're doing your ballasting, you're going to end up, just scraping that paint right off, all your hard work. So a good clear coat on top of it will help to protect that paint. Let's move on to the next thing that I wanted to do, and then we'll come back to this. All right, so this next step is going to involve some sanding. So I'm going to pull that back module out and get it away from these other modules so that I don't get dust all over the top of everything. All right, I've got my two tables set aside that I want to work with, and I need to sand all that down. Well, the parts that need leveling. So I got my yardstick. And I've got some, let's see, what grit is this? This is 180 grit sandpaper. It'll get gunked up really fast too, by the way. So I'm probably going to go through about 3 or 4 sheets of it. So, all right, let's begin. All right, I've got my yardstick out. And so from the looks of it, let's see here. I got a little bit of a hump right here that I need to sand down. And then I think, so it looks like what I'm going to need to do is just sand that hump and then sand it down on the end here. That should do it. So it's a little hard to see on camera, but yeah, and as I'm looking at it too, it's very obvious that there's a hump right there that I need to sand down. So, all right. Let's just test that real quick to see how much that took off. Still got a lot more to do. Check it. Getting there, but a little bit more. All right, so now I need to sand it over on the other end. I'm gonna need to take off a lot more over here. And we'll just keep checking it. I've taken off quite a bit, so I better check it. It is getting there. It just needs to, looks like I need to hit this area that I did at first, just a little bit more. Okay, let's see what we got here. So I think we got a winner. It looks pretty good. So what I'll do now is I'll get the vacuum cleaner out, take care of all that dust, and then we'll paint. I vacuumed it up and then I went over it with a wet rag just to get all that dust as much as I can off of there. There's still a little bit more. Your paint's gonna end up looking a little chalky if you got too much plaster dust on there. So I took care of it as much as I could, and it should be fine now. Let's get the paints and we'll go over that. It's been a while since I've gone over my painting methods. I use a really watered down acrylic. It can be cheap paint, it doesn't matter. I use folk art. I use about one table serving spoon of paint mixed with about that much water, and then I stir it up. That's my brown coat. The brown I use as my base coat. I put that on first, and then I do the same mixture for my gray. It just kind of diffuses the brown a little bit, and then I've got the same ratio, but it's black and green. Kind of makes a dark green, obviously. And that just gives my mountains a little bit of an organic feel to it. Darkens it up a little bit. So first things first, let me hit it with the gray. Also, one thing I will mention, I use just a really cheap brush. You know what? I never have to wash this brush using this mixture. All I do is I just give it one of these and it's good to go again. Yeah, you can tell I'm using very little paint. With that being the case, it's mostly water. Starting off with the brown. It won't hurt to, just kind of go over those areas too here that got kind of dusty. That'll freshen it up a little. Be careful not to get new paint on my bridge. Doing the same thing here. I'm just hitting areas that got dusty. Immediately, I will move on to my gray coat. No drying time in between. On to the dark green. Again, no drying time. I just go right at it. Now this is the top finished coat, so I spend a little more time on this. Now I'm not worried about the top of the roadbed because that's obviously going to be covered with track. But I'm putting paint on the top of the roadbed, just in the meantime so that it just looks a little better. All right, so I'm not sure what happened, but I've got a section of video here that does not have any audio. So I'm gonna give you a little voiceover of what you're looking at here. I am finished painting this portion of the roadbed. It's still wet. Obviously, you can see it puddling over there in the corner. That's fine. I don't worry about that too much. I went over the sides with more paint down here. The reason I was showing you this is it's good to go over it, at different times because you can get this contrasting color. Note how that brown there is kind of mixed with the gray, and you got a little bit of black and white. It just makes it all, not so plain. It's a little more 3D. That's why anytime I got the paintbrush out and I see a spot on the mountain, could use a little more paint. I go ahead and hit it, and it's a living, breathing model. It's always changing. So next, I was gonna do this part, and I was intending on doing it all off camera, but I ended up doing a little bit of it on camera. So you'll see what I've done. Now here, it actually became more feasible to build it back up a little more in a couple of spots rather than sand the whole thing down. But I'm happy with the levelness of it now, so I'm just gonna go ahead and paint. All right, all finished. So the paint is very wet, so I'm gonna let that dry. And over here, I just sat a piece of track on top of it, hoping to show you. All right, I am having technical difficulties with the audio again, so I am going to give you another voiceover. What I was going to show you in this portion here is that even after all of that post-leveling, if you lay your track down, your track is going to want to stay level, just like that ruler. Unless you've got, major, 1 foot gaps, it's not going to sag when you lay that track down. So that's going to be your third chance. You get a third opportunity after all of that. And then what you can do is you can take some shims underneath the track and sure that up a little bit. You do want to get that track level, though. You're not going to want dips and humps. That's going to cause decoupling. You're not going to have a good time. Now, I don't think I'm going to have to do that. I may have to do that in a couple of spots, but for the most part, I think I'm in pretty good shape here. We will find out for sure, though, when I start laying my track down again. So another way to avoided all of this post-leveling would have been maybe to lay down a little 1x2 board piece of lumber down along where your track is going to be. That board is going to be level, and then have that exposed to the top of the styrofoam. Just build the styrofoam around it. Basically pre-building your road bed with 1x2s. To me, that takes about as much work as this. Either way, I'm not very good with the table saw, so this works out better for me. There we go. I'm not sure what I was showing you here, so enough with the voiceover. I will get on with the next part. Almost forgot an important step here. All right, that clear coat is dry. Now what I need to do is I need to clean out the top of these tracks. I've got to hook up to my DCC-EX command station. It's providing power to the track. I've got a car here that lights up. It's got some powered trucks on it, some LEDs that will light up when it makes contact. And it's on a spot right now that I have not cleaned. And I'll roll it over here to a spot that I did clean. And there you go. See, there's some lights there. There they light up. So what I need to do is I need to keep that light steady. It will blink, because there's no keep alive in this caboose. But to do this, I am just taking my ink eraser. It's just a cheap ink eraser that I got on Amazon. You don't need a bright boy. You can save a lot of money buying these ink erasers. I can also see it very slightly on the rail. I know when it's shiny, it's clean, but also going to use a caboose. All right. All right, so that is staying lit the whole way. And so, yeah, I'll go through and do the rest off camera. But yeah, that's all you got to do. Now, in order to fit this on here, I had to, let's see, I had to cut one of these, the spikes. I had to cut one of the spikes. And it's a little more devastating when you've got your painted track. So this also makes it so that you want to be a little bit more careful with it. You just instinctively want to be gentle with your track because you spend a lot of time on it. Also, it's going to be the same thing when I go to do my solder joints. I'm going to want to be extra careful that I don't go messing up my track. All right, got my modules back together. There's the part in the back that I just worked on, as well as the end corner module. Now, as stated earlier, there's going to be a little pause in the production of my videos here while I work on some repetitive things that I've already shown you to try to catch up. Want to get my layout to the point where I can do some track work and some wiring. Getting real anxious to do that. I've been anxious to do that for quite a while, but you know, first things first, you gotta build your foundation first before you can build the house. So that's what I've done. Now I've got to paint my track, and that is a very slow process. As stated last week, it takes me about 4 hours to do one 3-foot stretch track, and got a lot of it to do. So when I have all that painted and clear coated and dry before I work with it. So that's what I'll be doing, and if I can think of anything else to publish, I will do another video in the meantime. Otherwise, I'll see you in about a month, 4 weeks. So have a good morning.